Hello everyone and welcome to the Premiere Pro, where you'll learn everything you need to know to go from a 100% beginner to a professional level video editor. We'll release at least one new tutorial every week, and if there's anything you'd like to see covered in the future, let me know in the comments. Volume 13, I showed you how to mix down your audio. Now, the next volume, we were going to start getting into cutting A-roll, and then the next one was going to be B-roll, and then putting them together. What I want to do first, we're going to, basically those videos are going to be a nice series that get into more complex editing, but a skill that you should probably have before you do that is you want to learn how to stylize your footage, because stylizing your footage means you can give your B-roll and some of your shots a more interesting look, which is a very important part of when you start getting into more complex and more storied editing. So we're going to do this video on stylizing your footage, and then for the next few, we're going to really get into starting to cut A-roll, B-roll, and cutting it together and really making more complex videos. So I'm just going to show you this video that we kind of have ready to go. Just see what it looks like. You'll notice the shots, they're different color temperatures. Some look kind of blah, some look okay. We're going to stylize it to make it more cohesive and more interesting. So let's take a look. All right, so that's a, stock footage of Philadelphia shot from different sources. So let's see what we can do to make this more interesting. So you want to open your Lumetri color here. So if you don't have these, go to Window and make sure you select the color, Lumetri color, Lumetri scopes, and that's going to add these windows for you. So what's good is it can see that it looks like things are pretty good in the middle here. This bright spot in the middle means that your color balance is good. We have varying levels of saturation, which we're going to do something about. And then obviously here, this is our waveform. But when we're stylizing footage, we can take some leeway. So if we were just simply color correcting, we would say that things had to be in legal levels, which we've gone over in earlier videos. When we're stylizing, we can kind of break these rules and just look at our eye and say, basically, what looks kind of cool. So this can be a lot of fun. So we're basically going to go shot by shot here and see what we like. So this first shot here, welcome to Philadelphia, but it's kind of plain Jane. It's not too exciting. So what we can do is if we make sure the clip is selected, we can just mess with this. So sometimes, again, breaking the rules, if you overexpose something, you can stylistically overexpose it or underexpose it. So let's just overexpose this a little bit. Let's turn up the highlights. Let's turn up the contrast. All right, so you see how that kind of has a little bit of a cooler look to it. And if you ever want to see before and after, you can go here, toggle bypass on or off. That's our clip, and that's what we've done to it. And then maybe let's give it like a warmer, sunny look, like we're just getting there in the morning. So let's tint this over, right? A little sunnier. And then what can happen here is if we crush our shadows and blacks, it gives it like a richer, deeper look, right? Let's lower our shadows a little. Let's lower our blacks a little. And all of a sudden, you see how that now has a little bit of character, whereas before, right? It's a blah shot. And then look at that. So another thing you can do, if you go over your effects, and actually that's our effects controls, just pick an effect first. There's a cool effect I like called posterize. You can always search for your effects here. And when you posterize, you're just going to kind of give it like a texture. It's going to be cool. So let's just mess with this a little bit. Sometimes you have to kind of mess with it. See, there we go. Okay. Sometimes it's on a little delay. So that's too much. See, we look like a 10. Okay. Kind of cool. Let's see, 15. So again, you're just kind of messing with this and seeing what looks good. 20. Just gives it a little something. And I can take that posterize just on and off too. So if I take that away, okay, so it's not too much. Let's go back to 15. This gives it a little something with the texture. You see that? It gives it that little funky texture there. Let's go to like 12. Let's see. Okay, it's kind of cool. Just gives it that little extra something. Let's see what that looks like. Now, as you can see, there was a cut here, so we only applied it to this clip. So what we can do is copy the clip, right click, copy, select this clip, paste attributes, and we're just going to make sure Lumetri color and posterize are checked. And now it's going to do the same thing. So that's kind of cool. Gives it a little funky look. Now this is kind of cool, and some of these shots they're a little oversaturated. Be cool to kind of give this a little bit of a flatter, muted look, and then maybe some more contrasty. So let's do this. We're going to go over here, so make sure your clip is selected. Saturation. Actually going to turn that down a little bit. Go to like 50. And then let's up our contrast. Kind of cool. See, it's kind of getting a cool effect. Let's like super crush. I'm going to go to scopes here again so you can see what it's doing on these scopes. Let's super crush our blacks. All right, that's looking kind of cool. And let's really just make it blue. See how it's almost looking like a cool photo or like piece of art now. And then another thing you can add, which is really cool, just add a little noise into your image. Sometimes we try to get it out, but noise can also be artistic. So let's add that. And then we'll go back to our effects controls. We can go to the amount, and you can use color or not. I don't like color. I think it looks a little cheesy, so it's more subtle. Now we can turn that up a little bit. You see that? That's kind of cool. So let's see. Right about, maybe let's try like 25. We don't want to overdo it. Let's see what that looks like. So that might be a bit too much. So let's try 15, see what that looks like. Just want to introduce a little texture. I'm going to back it off a little more to 10. Just a little bit of texture to the shot. So that looks kind of cool. So we'll full screen that so you can see it. Gives it a little something. I think I'll pull it back just a little bit more. Let's go to 7. Because I don't want to overwhelm the effect. I just want to give it a little something. And that's cool because now it has that kind of vintage film look. Let's see this. And let's just see what it looks like if we take this and move this, everything that we did, we can copy, right click, paste attributes. Let's just see what that looks like. It's kind of cool, right? And it's also the bridge, so it makes sense. So again, if I stop here, highlight this, I can take the color off and I can take the noise off. And you can see the difference that made. Now we got this cool looking shot. So I'm thinking maybe for the next bridge shot, let's stick with the same thing. We're going to copy, paste attributes. And now we have 3 really cool looking bridge shots, and they also look more cohesive now. All right, now we're getting somewhere. So let's take this. We don't want to do the same thing we did to the others, but let's see what we can do to this. So maybe we can do like a cool vintage, almost black and white kind of look. So let's take the saturation down to like 25%. And then the little color that's there, let's move it over warm. And that's going to give it like this vintage bronze kind of look. And then let's add some noise to that as well. So we still have it handy. Let's try 20 there and see how that looks. Looks kind of cool. We'll back it off to about 15. And I just want to go, and again, there's no right or wrong. This is just like fun. We're going to see what this looks like. Let's go full warm. And let's bring up that contrast again, because that gives it that really nice contrasty kind of cool look. Let's bring our highlights up. Let's see how far we can push that. Got a kind of cool look there. So we take the color off. Look at that. Two different, totally different feels. And let's crush some black too. Because now those dark areas get really deep and rich. That's kind of a cool look we just came up with. And that's just having fun. And look at our next shot. Why don't we see if we can match that? So let's copy. Paste attributes. Make sure the correct things are selected. That has kind of a cool look to it. And see how now we're making these two different shots kind of match? This one's brighter though, so let's pull those highlights back. Kind of cool. And let's pull the warmness back a little bit. And we'll pull our white level down a little bit as well. Now we got two pretty cool vintage looking shots, so that's kind of cool. Let's see what we have next. So this looks a little oversaturated, so let's pull that back. There we go. Let's see what happens if we really expose this. That's kind of cool. Let's pull that saturation down almost to nothing. Just give it kind of a cool look. Let's see if we go green. Go magenta. See how it looks warmer. It's kind of cool there. Give that a shot. Let's see what happens with the shadows. That's kind of cool. Got some shadowy areas there. So there you go. We have another really cool look. And then here's another shot. So let's try to copy that. We'll copy, paste attributes. So you can see it looks very different on two different shots. So maybe that's a good base, but let's tweak this a little. Let's bring a little bit more color back in. And let's get a little less warm. And maybe let's try the contrast. And then now maybe it's pretty bright because we've done some other stuff. So let's bring our exposure back down. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Let's bring that saturation up a little bit more. That's kind of a cool look. So again, look at that difference, right? We've stylized this. We've given it a certain look. And you'll see this a lot in like TV promos and movie trailers. It's a way to kind of take it to another level and just make it a little more interesting. And we have our last shot here. And that's kind of cool too. Now here's what could be really cool. We're going to split this clip. And here's what we're going to do. We're just going to make this go black and white. So if you take this second clip, pull the saturation all the way down, right? And then we can just take our regular transition. And by transitioning through the clip that's color and not, look at what happens. We just gradually go black and white. And then we go to fade to black. Let's make that a little bit more gradual. Let's take a look at that. Look at that. All right. So we're going to give it a render. Let's see how quickly we can do this. Okay, let's take a look. It's better to render when you're adding effects because you're adding a lot of information. So let's see how we're looking now. And there you go. Now you know how to stylize footage. So in the next video, we are going to get into cutting that A-roll. The following video, we'll get into cutting B-roll. And then after that, we're going to show you how to put them together and tell you how to create a more cohesive, complex storytelling edit. For more Premiere Pro tutorials, click the like button, click the subscribe button, and make sure to ring the notification bell. And as soon as the next volume is uploaded, you'll find the link in the description.